The rolling whistle brings us back to gameplay. Jerry Can and Quiet Riot both in position at the jam line. Quiet Riot with the initial lead pushing here at the front of the pack. Lightning Striker dropping back to maintain that pack. Bugsy and Terminator just sliding ahead, supported by Flo. Inside line availability, that gives Quiet Riot lead. Bugsy trying to push one of the Inland Empire skaters into their own jammer. There's still space there, so Quiet Riot skates through with 4 points for Inland Empire. We have a successful star pass to 115 Lightning Striker for the Eaves of Destruction. Quiet Riot with another scoring pass, signaling their teammates. That is an 8-point jam, and with that, the score swings in favor of Inland Empire. Current score, Eaves of Destruction 100, Inland Empire 105. Our jammers this jam are Creeper and Lala Tiburona. Creeper currently at the front with 1 to beat. Eaves of Destruction lead. Cut track penalty sends Lala Tiburona to the penalty box. Power jam in favor of the Eaves of Destruction. Creeper comes in and hits a 4-wall. Frenzy gets in there with some offensive help. Creeper signals for more help. In comes the Wife of Wrath. Pack moves past turn 2. The Wife of Wrath backs out. Creeper with 3 to beat. Calls the jam with the jammer still in the penalty box. That forces a power start for the Eaves of Destruction. The Eaves pick up 4 points, and we have a 1-point game.
The next game on the track is going to be Gorge versus Nuclear Free Roller Derby. Stick around for the 7 o'clock game.
Honey Crueler, the only active jammer on the track right now. Power start in favor of the Eaves of Destruction. Eaves reform as Lala Tiburona comes out of the pack. Skates through the inside, and lead goes to Inland Empire. Honey Crueler hit to the inside by number 867. That's Rude Ass Rita with the hit. Lala Tiburona hit to the inside. Terminator with the drawback. Pack is tight at the jam line. Honey Crueler hit to the inside. Lala Tiburona finds space, skates through with 4 points for Inland Empire. Honey Crueler through the pack with an initial pass. Pack is moving fast past the apex. 2 skaters on the ground. Back up. Jam is called. Eaves of Destruction bench calls a timeout with 9 seconds left on the play clock. That will force a final jam. Your current score going into this last jam, Eaves of Destruction 104, Inland Empire 111.
This has been a neck and neck game all day, Regrettal.
As skaters, both you and I are skaters, Curb, we're both on the edge of our seats so many times with the score swinging back and forth, and we can see how hard all of these players are playing. These teams came in with a little bit of a difference in their ranking. Inland Empire ranked 48, Eaves of Destruction ranked 54. Both teams pushing for every point. I don't know if you remember the very beginning of the game, our score was low for the first bit of that first half, and it's never really gotten away.
Yeah, like a 100-point game, that is a low-scoring game. These blockers have been working very hard to contain those jammers, keeping them at a low score, managing the clock. It's been wonderful.
Bambino and Goose out for one last run. Bambino at the front. Goose flying around the back. Trish Trash in with some help. The Frenzy chases Bambino out. Bambino takes lead. Both teams standing along their team benches, watching for the end of this jam. Bambino makes contact with Flawless. Trish Trash holding the pack. Goose recycled. Offense in from Quiet Riot. Goose recycled to the very back. Bambino on the back of Zooks. Zooks almost trying to anchor themselves off an opponent. Bambino was signaling the call. And that ends our game. Our unofficial score, Eaves 104, Inland Empire 113. Stick around. I will be down on the track in just a moment with the MVPs.
We'd like to thank rollergirl.ca for supplying the MVPs, or sponsoring the MVP prizes this weekend. We very much appreciate your sponsorship. If you're interested in becoming an EOD sponsor, you can get a hold of us at eodsponsorship.ca.
All right, who's ready for their MVP prizes? Are we doing a skate around? Go skate around. High fives for everyone. Say hi to your friends. All right, MVPs. Inland Empire. Your MVP jammer is number 81, Bambino. Hey, Bambino, where'd you go? There you are. Eaves of Destruction, your MVP jammer is number 21, Charlie Hurst. Inland Inland Empire, your MVP blocker is number 418, Babe Eat Crack Ribs. Eaves of Destruction, your MVP blocker is 115, Lightning Striker. Inland Empire, your Team Spirit Award goes to 1420, Lala Tiburona. Eaves of Destruction, your Team Spirit Award goes to number 31, Creeper.
also known as the Esquimalt and Songhees Nations, for allowing us to play the sport we love and host our events on their traditional territory. We are honored to live on this land and are working toward reconciliation, decolonization, and building relationships in our communities. We, as guests, recognize the importance of their ongoing relationship with the land that continues to this day. A few local organizations you can support are Victoria Native Friendship Centre, Indigenous Perspective Society, and Raven, respecting Aboriginal values and environmental needs.
And we're going to be introducing our beautiful teams coming up right now. We're going to be having Gorge versus Nuclear Free. I'm Athena Latina, joined by
Fanny in the pack.
And let's hear who's skating for Gorge Roller Derby, coming to you from the Dales, Oregon. We've got Faye Spounder, Auntie Faye, Murph, Killer B, Scoldy Knox, Kimbo Slice, Fleetwood Smack, Peach Clobber, Fish Slap, Nerder She Wrote, Aftermath, Machete Michaud. We got Demanda, Oh Snap, Booyah, Rolling Raptor, Pickleback Jack, and Lethal. Those are your Gorge Roller Derby All-Stars.
Welcome from Red Deer, Alberta, Nuclear Free Roller Derby's NF Bombs. Skaters from this team include Joe Means Joe, Repeat, Cakes, Sriracha, Rip, Toast and Jam, Punchy, Smash and Dash, Mal, Buns, Bell, Mac Daddy, Miss Koozie, Ren, Bam, Dame Tamer, Twitch, Betty Davis Eyes, Emsky Hammer, and Killerella.
Big shout out to our skating officials, Mass Genuine, Nitro G, PH Demon, Wiener, Professor Harm, and Outrageous. We've got some NSOs, Adam Smasher, Pussycat, Time Bandit, Mr. Nitro, Baddie, Dispenser, Dirty, and Hunky Dorky. And also a very important shout out, the Beer Garden sales close at halftime of this game. So if you want to get your bev on, make sure to head on over to the Beer Garden before halftime.
We have just over 1 minute to roller derby, so let's talk about some of our ever-esteemed sponsors. The Eaves of Destruction wish to thank all of the outstanding sponsors that fund the gameplay you enjoy. As we tell you more about them tonight, consider if you too would like to help us keep rolling through 2025. Contact us at eodsponsorship@gmail.com.
Sounds like our teams were very excited about sponsors.
That was definitely cheering for sponsors.
Or perhaps Hazel's Ice Cream, a family dream of ice cream. Visit their bike cart here tonight for local handmade ice cream bars. It's hot outside, y'all. Get you some hydration and some ice cream.
We're now welcoming our skating officials to the track, and we've got about 30 seconds till our first jam. Who out there is excited to watch some roller derby? And who at home is excited to watch roller derby? We want to thank the people putting on our live stream. What an exciting tournament this is.
It's really excellent that there is a live stream. There's a lot of different skaters from a lot of different places in different countries here, so all of their friends and family get to see, which is excellent.
Starting this first jam for NF Bombs, we've got number 5-6, Mac Daddy. And Mac Daddy has a quick lead jam status. 8-1-1 for Gorge is working hard. Mac Daddy approaching the pack, passing a few hips of the other skaters. That's 4 quick points on the board for Mac Daddy. Mac Daddy is rounding for a second scoring trip now on a power jam, getting ready for some offense, quick offense by their team, and they are on their way around the track. 2 scoring points means a quick 8 points for NF Bombs. Mac Daddy approaching again, facing a little bit of defensive play from 409, decides to call off the jam. Before Gorge's jammer can leave the box, they will start on a power jam, and I'm sure the next jammer is grateful for this.
Capital City Chaos is proudly supported by the Greater Victoria Sport Tourism Commission. Thank you for supporting sports among our amazing athletes here in Greater Victoria Sport Tourism Commission. Thank you.
Lining up for the Power Jam is 1-1-1-1. Joe means Joe. We've got 4 full blockers for both packs. Quick defense by 3-5-0 pivot for Gorge, drawing our jammer all the way back 20 feet, making that a little bit tough for the initial pass. An 8-1-1 from Gorge is now engaging the pack. That's Rolling Raptor. Unfortunately, a track cut has been called on Joe means Joe, but that means it's Gorge's turn on the Power Jam. 8-1-1 is working hard, trying to pass those opposing blockers. Finds a lane on the outside of the track and is now lead jammer in spite of having exited from the box at the beginning of the jam. A little bit of juking before approaching that tripod by NF Bombs. 8-1-1 is working their way through the pack. Track cut called on a blocker from NF Bombs, meaning the defense is decreased for Gorge, and 8-1-1 is back around for another scoring pass. That is 4 points for Gorge going up on the board. 8-1-1 is Rolling Raptor, and here they are with another opportunity to score. 8-3-8 with some successful drive out on the outside line around turn 4, drawing back to 20 feet as Joe means Joe makes it through the pack on their initial pass. 8-1-1 with the tap of the hips calls off the jam to prevent any further scoring from the NF Bombs.
We'd like to give a big thank you to Allies Integrated Health, healthcare that sees you. Visit alliesintegrated.health for more information.
One of my favorite derby names I've found out about recently belongs to number 40 for Gorge. That's Nerder, she wrote. NF Bombs has Sriracha on the line, looking to score some points for NF Bombs. 3-on-3 blocking, meaning not a lot of offense taking place at the beginning of this jam. We do have a blocker returning to the track for NF Bombs. A little bit more help from that team. 4-0 to the box for Gorge, so that is Nerder, she wrote, doing the bad thing. As another blocker returns for Gorge, making the defense stronger. Sriracha is still fighting against the Gorge defense for that initial pass. Working the outside line. Only a quick hand down, avoiding a fall. Makes it out of the pack and is lead jammer for NF Bombs. Gorge is holding on with a really tight tripod at the front. A little bit of offensive help from NF Bombs. Pivot, and Sriracha is pressing forward, but the back of the pack is keeping up. This is a nice tight gameplay at the moment. NF Bombs is doing an excellent job at the back of the pack, holding 4-0 to their initial pass. 2-2, meanwhile, fighting at the pack. Got a penalty being called on Gorge, 9-1-1 to the box for a multiplayer block, and NF Bombs is posting 4 points to the board. That was a hard-fought 4 points. We are a minute and a half into the jam. It's low scoring for that much roller derby. 2-2, though, finds another 4 points going around the track here, and 4-0 for Gorge is still fighting. Manages that star pass and the pivot. 3-1-4 for Gorge, now becoming the jammer. That's Kimbo Slice. I'm going to see what magic she can work. Sriracha calls off the jam, though, and prevents any scoring from Gorge Roller Derby All-Stars.
In a world filled with mass-produced stuff, connect with what you consume with Driftwood Brewery. Visit their bar and patio nearby on Viewfield Road or on site here tonight.
It actually might be a tie for my new favorite roller derby names. 369 is Fish Slap, jamming for Gorge. It's Mac Daddy for NF Bombs, fighting at the back of the pack against 2 blockers from Gorge. Finds a path on the inside line and has been declared lead jammer for Nuclear Free Roller Derby. Fish Slap is still fighting the defensive NF bombs, but finds the outside line. Had star in hand, but can return that cover to their helmet now and begin scoring points. That is if Mac Daddy allows it, and she does not, calls the jam off and holds them to 0.
You want a trusted partner for your financial future. The Accounting Agency can be that trusted partner. Visit theaccountingagency.ca for more information.
Going into Jam 5, we have Gorge Roller Derby at 8 points. Nuclear-free NF bombs at 24 points. Joe Means Joe back on the line as jammer for the NF bombs, but that is a quick pass on the inside line for Gorge Roller Derby. That's Machi Michaud. Joe Means Joe with a penalty, heading to the penalty box. And 4-2-7 for Gorge now with the opportunity to post some points for NF bombs. It's a really stretched out pack. With an out-of-play call, 4-2-7 manages to find a pass and 4 points. Machete Michaud with another scoring pass puts up 4 more points, closing a little bit the gap between F-Bombs and Gorge Roller Derby's scores on the board. A little bit of passive offense from Gorge, gets the pack rolling, giving Machete the chance to score a couple points more before calling off the jam. That was all 4 points in that last jam, a 12-point jam. We are now only 4 points between the two teams, Gorge at 20 and NF Bombs at 24.
Shout out to our sponsor, Parkway Physio. Reduce pain, improve mobility, and get back to what you love.
That's Auntie Faye, number 10 on the line for Gorge. Fast feet and right up the line. That is a very fast lead jammer, perhaps the fastest we've seen tonight. Sriracha jamming again for NF Bombs, fighting Gorge's tight defense at the front. A little bit O from Emsky Hammer, and Sriracha is out of the pack. Auntie Faye tapping the hips to get the referee's attention, calls off the jam, and we'll see 3 points go up on the board for Gorge, and this is now a 1-point game.
Be sure to check out the Charter's online silent auction happening right now. Adventures, treats, gift cards, and more than over 30 local businesses are participating. Funds raised here help the Charter travel for games and to host amazing tournaments like this one. Check out the posters around the arena for the auction link.
Jammers out there now, or Mac Daddy for NF Bombs, Amanda for Gorge Roller Derby. Mac Daddy is lead jammer. Amanda, number 4-3, fighting against NF Bombs defense on the inside line, the outside line. Called on a high block penalty, reporting to the penalty box. Mac Daddy with some incredible footwork. Did she go out? She did not, and she's made her first scoring pass of 4 points for NF Bombs. Some offense run by NF Bombs gets the pack moving, and Mac Daddy is able to spin the hips around. 3-1-4, the pivot for Gorge, and puts another 4 points on the board for their team. Mac Daddy taking a knee to the inside line in turn 4, decides to reset just to be safe. Facing one blocker at the back of the pack and 3 at the front, just fighting to get as many points out of this jam as possible. As 2-3 with a shoulder hit, drops Mac Daddy to the inside line. Mac Daddy calls the jam off, locking Gorge Roller Derby with 0 points, and totaling 10 for NF Bombs.
Bad Girlfriend Skates, your one-stop shop for everything and anything to do with roller derby and recreational roller skating. Find them on site today or at badgirlfriendskates.ca. Shout out to them for having a helmet for one of my teammates.
We've got Rolling Raptor 811 on the line for Gorge Roller Derby again, and Joe Means Joe. Moving those feet real fast against 2 blockers at the back of the pack. 409 matching that footwork, making this very difficult for these jammers. Joe Means Joe is pressing on the tripod for Gorge Roller Derby. 811 manages to find a lane on the outside line. Unfortunately, is being called on a track cut and heading to the box, leaving Nuclear Free on a power jam. Joe Means Joe has a few defenders at the front to beat. Joe Means Joe gets lead, which means that Gorge never actually established lead, and they have a power jam in their favor. Nuclear Free sending offense in for Joe. Joe takes a shoulder hit to the outside, but managed to find toe stops before they exit the track, stays in bounds, and continues to press forward for points. Beating that last defender, pivot from Gorge, Joe Means Joe puts up 4 points for NF Bombs. Gorge's jammer is returned to the track, getting the pack rolling at the back, fighting against a very tight tripod. Number 8 holding them on the inside line. Number 713 forcing a drawback. Pack is starting to stretch out. No pack is called, which means they'll need to quickly reform in order to continue blocking. Joe is still fighting at the front of the packs, just on their second scoring pass. And that's 911 Pickle and 409. Really giving Joe trouble at the front of the pack. But Cakes is there to save the day, provides a bit of offense. Joe Means Joe calls off the jam and adds 4 more points to NF Bomb's score, bringing the total score Gorge Roller Derby 23 to NF Bomb's 42 points. Nuclear Free will take a timeout, and we will take some time to acknowledge more of our sponsors.
Perfect. We'd like to say thank you to Roller Girl for sponsoring the weekend's MVP prizes. Be sure to stay after each game and figure out who our MVP Jammer, Blocker, and Team Spirit award winners are. Also, make sure to visit the Eaves of Destruction exclusive food truck vendor outside Los Panas Kitchen. It's Venezuelan food right outside. Can say that they are delicious. I happen to have some this afternoon, so 10 out of 10, do recommend.
Definitely going to make sure to try that out this weekend. I think that was the first thing I saw when I rolled into the parking lot today. Maybe the last place I visit before I go home on Sunday.
It's probably the best smell I've ever had when coming into a roller derby tournament is the smell of Venezuelan food. It was pretty excellent.
Just going to take a moment to apologize to those watching at home that you're not going to be able to try that Venezuelan food. But, I mean, you can come down to Victoria anytime you like.
The perks of being at the tournament.
Again, though, we do want to thank you for tuning in to Roller Derby here tonight, Capital City Chaos. Gorge Roller Derby versus Nuclear Free, NF Bombs, Sriracha jamming for Nuclear Free. With a pivot to beat, sharp hit to the pivot for Gorge, and Sriracha is lead jammer for Nuclear Free Roller Derby. 4-0, Nerder, she wrote, fighting hard against NF Bomb's superb defense at the back of the pack. Amazing spin work, doing everything that she can to get out of the pack, while there's a little fight happening again between the pivot and Nuclear Free's jammer at the front, but we are looking at 4 points for Nuclear Free. Sriracha responsible for those. Little confusion on the track, it looked like left a lane open for Sriracha without any contact. Gives that jammer a little bit of rest and time to recoup on the next lap, but that's 8 points total for Sriracha on this jam. 4-0 still working so hard at the back of the pack to get through. Offense coming from their friend number 2-3. Nerder is still fighting like you wouldn't believe. I wouldn't have that much energy to continue on at this point in the jam, but Nerder is really working hard against that incessant defense from Nuclear Free. Sriracha decides to tap the hips. We've got a call off for this jam, and that is 12 points total for NF Bombs, widening the lead a little bit. Gorge Roller Derby now at 23 points, and Nuclear Free at 54.
You've only got about 15 more minutes to get your 50-50 tickets. The draw will be done during the halftime of the game today. You could leave richer than when you arrived.
You may be in a hurry for 50-50 tickets, but you should also be in a hurry for our beverage garden, which closes at halftime.
So many things to do in our vendor village, including visiting the roller derby mom's table. There are souvenirs that will help support our junior roller derby travel, support the future of roller derby, and check out some of their really cool stuff in the vendor village.
Capital City Chaos is taking place all weekend, all the way through to Sunday afternoon. So please keep tuning in online at home and come and see us in person if you're available. We love having a great crowd here at Eaves of Destruction, and we hope that anybody new visiting finds tons of reasons to come back. We are ready for jam number 10. Mac Daddy on the line for NF Bombs. And 369 for Gorge Roller Derby. Offense from 0-8. Pressing that pack forward at the front. Gorge's defense has to roll up in order to stay in play and loses a blocker. Mac Daddy takes advantage of that, skips past those two remaining blockers and finds Lee Jammer on the inside line of turn 1. Gorge's Jammer still in the pack, fighting hard against two blockers at the front, but quick recycle means there's a full blocking lineup at the front of the pack. Mac Daddy finds 4 points in turn 3, while Gorge is still looking for their initial pass. Fish slap using all that legwork on the inside line and the outside line, really looking for space. Being denied by Nuclear Freeze defense, recycling that tripod every time they try to find space on a line. Mac Daddy with 8 points is hopping that apex. A little spill to call up the jam, but you know what that means? If they get a skate on the track, they still get all those points, and that's 4 more points for NF Bombs on the board, a total of 12 for that jam. I'm holding Gorge to 23.
At the end of every adventure, the greatest reward is a refreshing beverage with friends, both old and new. Straight and narrow, a delicious libation you could be enjoying right now.
That's Machete and Joe on the line. Really tight scrum pack and lots of pushing, but those blockers are saying no way. Pivot 3-1-4 offering a brace to two blockers, holding Joe at the back of the pack as the front of the pack stretches out and Machete fights hard for lead jammer. That's a lead jammer that is not lead jammer for Gorge, as Machete is issued a forearm penalty and sent to the box. Lead jammer has now been called for Joe Means Joe. At 1.5 minutes left in this jam. 4-7-6 attempting some offense on the inside. Joe's got some spin work going to get around those blockers at the front, but Gorge has 4 people quickly at the front, effectively blocking Joe. That's pivot number 3-1-4 from Gorge, attempting to slow Joe down at the front of the pack, but Joe is able to put 4 points on the board. That's a blocker down each for both teams at the moment. As Gorge's jammer returns to the track, attempting an initial pass yet again. Joe has just exited the pack for another 4 points. And Machete has taken a knee to the inside line. Receives that no earned point call, but is now on their first scoring pass. Joe finds a nice lean on the outside line to pass the pivot before calling off the jam and earns another couple points. That's 3 more points for NF Bombs at the end of this jam. Gorge Roller Derby score at 23 points, NF Bombs at 77.
Our amazing crew of dedicated officials is one of the Eaves of Destruction's biggest assets. From non-skating officials to on-skates officials, they make it possible for us all to enjoy this sport we love so much. Speak to any official to find out how you too could be part of the crew.
We've seen a couple of these slightly smaller packs for much of the night, a blocker from each pack in the box at the moment, meaning that it's pretty solid defense for both jammers and not a lot of offense. We saw Twitch try to take Gorge's jammer to the outside line. Twitch went out, and Gorge stepped back in, but cut someone else and is being sent to the penalty box. We've got a lead jammer for Emski Hammer, number 8-9 for Nuclear Free, on their first scoring pass. 4 points quickly in the air for Emski Hammer as offense is set up for Nuclear Free, leaving Gorge with 2 blockers, 1 blocker, 1 more blocker, and another scoring pass for Emski Hammer at the front of the pack for 4 more points. Little inside sweep by 911, but Emski goes the other direction, fighting the pack on the outside back to the middle. Offense working hard to try to open space for Emski while a tripod setting up at the back to receive Gorge's newly released from the penalty box jammer. That's number 10, Anti-Faye. Emski Hammer spinning out of the pack in the middle at turn 3 and 4 for another couple of points, and a massive hit to the inside line. It means 1-0 will recycle to the back of the pack. 2 blocking packs of 4. Nuclear Free able to send 5-7-6 up for some offense as 1-0 makes their initial pass. Anti-Faye now on their first scoring pass, but denied by Nuclear Free's jammer as they call it off and lock in 2 more points. 14 on that jam for Nuclear Free Roller Derby with just over 10 minutes remaining in the first half of this game. We are now on an official timeout, which gives us a little extra time to talk sponsors.
Oh, and that means it's your 10-minute warning for the beer garden sales closing. If you've been thinking about going over and trying something delicious and refreshing, now would be the time. Only 10 minutes to go. Otherwise, have no regrets.
That's me.
No regrets.
You're adorable. No regrettal. Oh my gosh. That also means 10 minutes for your 50-50 tickets. If you haven't purchased a 50-50 ticket yet, you haven't given yourself a chance to win. I mean, somebody's got to win. It could be you. Imagine coming to a derby tournament and leaving with cold hard cash. It could be you. We do have them walking around looking in hopes of somebody getting some 50-50 tickets. So if you are interested, you just flag them down. They will come straight to you and help you out, winning, perhaps, perchance, some money. Since we got a little bit of time, we could also be talking a little bit about penalties. We've been doing pretty well with penalties here, with only 3 penalties as our highest right now. We have seen kind of like back and forth with jammer penalties. That's been kind of stretching out the lead for the NF bombs. But all in all, pretty good, clean game. Lots of calls being made by the refs that I agree with. Thank you, Team 3, for keeping us safe and keeping us honest. We want to win legally.
We usually have time at the beginning of the jam to let you know who's on the line jamming for each team, but let's acknowledge some of our blockers out on the track. I see number 8-7 Betty Davis Eyes pivoting for Nuclear Free Roller Derby. Caught her attention. Hello down there. I see a 3-1-5, a 3-0, and I need to match those names to my list. How do I do that? We've got Toast and Jam. I believe I saw Bam. And Rip. That's Nuclear Free's blocking wall for this jam for you. Gorge Roller Derby, I see Demand a Riot. Checking out the conversation with their pack. Out on the track for Gorge, we have 319 Fleetwood Smack, 314 Kimbo Slice, 08. That's Face Pounder. Face Pounder. It's another derby name that I really enjoy. The teams out there right now have a lot of creativity in their brains. I think they show us that on the track too. I now lost track. Oh, I see number 409. That's Aftermath. blocking for Gorge. Jammers can't score points without their blockers. They can't score points without opposing blockers, so we really need to give it to the blockers out on the track.
It's really true. This is such a team sport in a way that so many other sports just don't even recognize. We've got 2 teams and team 3 on the outside dressed classily in their stripes. All coming together.
5 seconds till our next jam begins. That official timeout led to a power jam for Nuclear Free Roller Derby. That's 2-2 Sriracha taking advantage of no opposing jammer on the track, fighting against 3 blockers from Gorge City. Gorge City, no, just Gorge. 1 blocker to beat, and Sriracha is lead jammer for NF Bombs. 4 blockers on the track to Gorge's 2 at the moment. We've got a pivot and 1 blocker for Gorge defending against this power jam. Sriracha doesn't mind that, finds a first scoring pass and posts 4 points to the board before the power jam ends. But number 4-3 is back on the track for Gorge. Immediately fighting against 3-0 for that initial pass. Excellent hopping footwork on the outside line, getting some momentum for Gorge's jammer. Sriracha is just zigzagging through the pack. Little tripod to beat at the front, finds that space on the outside line and has made a second scoring pass for 4 points. Pardon me, that was a third scoring pass. That's 12 points total on the board for Sriracha as we see another power jam. It's 4-3 Demanda, jamming for Gorge Roller Derby. Sriracha signaling some offense to her team, but makes contact with 409 and Gorge's pivot to slow right down in the straightaway. Sriracha is trying to find those hips to pass before calling off the jam. We'll see if there's any success there, points-wise. Sriracha's jam ref is indicating 3 more points for NF Bombs. 19 total for the jam. I have a suspicion that that was the highest scoring jam of the game, but I might need confirmation on that.
It'd be a pretty good guess. We'll check the official scorekeeping.
I'm being taught how to find that out, so I'll get back to you. I was correct. 19 points is the highest scoring jam of this game, but we're back on. We've got 8-1-1 jamming for Gorge on the outside line. That's Raptor, but a massive hit from Pivot from NF Bombs puts Gorge's jammer to the outside line. Pivot was fighting going out of bounds. We'll see what the refs have to say about that. They're saying that no, 8-1-1 is earning a no earn point and is not lead jammer, but has made their initial pass and is eligible for points. Joe Means Joe was whistled lead jammer and quickly calls off the jam before Gorge can take advantage of that initial pass.
Connect with what you consume with Driftwood Brewery. Visit their bar and patio nearby on Viewfield Road or on site here tonight.
Coming up on jam, 15 and 6 minutes and some seconds remaining in this period. Mac Daddy jamming for NF Bombs and Nerder She Wrote for Gorge Roller Derby. It's a mighty strong tripod at the front for Gorge. Mac is finding a way to push it forward, but the pack just keeps coming with her. 4-0, same thing, pushing hard against NF Bombs defense. Mac Daddy does find an inside line and earns lead jammer status for NF Bombs. Nerder is fighting very hard in turn 1, but is recycled by 7-1-3 and 9-1-1. That's Pickle. 713 is Rennie, attempted a run back, but didn't catch any attention, didn't draw a cut, and we end the jam with both jammers on the track. And 1 point for the NF bombs going on the board from Sriracha. Apologies, that was not Sriracha. Sriracha is our next jammer coming up. We have Fish Slap. I am so in love with these names. Hi, Fish Slap. Good job out there. Everybody's working so hard, just as hard as they did to come up with these incredible derby names, I'm sure. Sriracha approaching the pack on the inside line, slowed down by a tripod by Gorge. Fish Slap is really getting the pack moving. How did they not go out of bounds? Fish Slap is lead. Jam ref is saying Fish Slap did exit the track and re-enter in front of another skater and is being whistled for a track cut. Sriracha is still fighting for lead jammer status with 3 blockers to beat at the front, and 409 keeping pack for Gorge Roller Derby. 3-0 comes in with some slamming offense to break up Gorge's defense. But those blockers out there, even one-on-one, are doing a fantastic job. These jammers have to work so hard for every pass, every point. 409 throws Sriracha to the ground and draws them back to the beginning of the straightaway. That is a successful helmet cover pass to NF Bombs pivot. That's Betty Davis Eyes. You're now your lead jammer for NF Bombs. This jam is going to go a full 2 minutes with 51 seconds remaining. Betty Davis Eyes has been drawn back to the beginning of the straightaway by 0-8, and it seems like we're going to spend a lot of time in this straightaway. There we go again. Betty Davis back to the beginning of the straightaway. Both blocking groups doing an incredible job making these jammers earn every bit of space on the track. 369 is getting her feet moving. That's Fish Slap. But unfortunately, we have another call on Fish Slap, who's sitting in the penalty box, and we are now on a power jam for former pivot Betty Davis Eyes, who is on a scoring pass but is still stuck in the straightaway. 2 blockers helping one another to put Betty Davis Eyes to the outside line. That jam goes a full 2 minutes, but does see NF Bombs with 4 points on the board. That was a lot of work for 2 jammers from NF Bombs to get 4 points on the board. So huge props to Gorge Roller Derby for making that probably the most difficult jam of the night for NF Bombs jammers.
If you have to make a difficult decision in 3 minutes, 50-50 tickets stop being sold, you should find your ticket now.
Joe Means Joe on a power jam for NF Bombs is fighting hard at the front of the pack. No pack is called as Joe Means Joe spins hips around Gorge's pivot and gets lead jammer for NF Bombs. Fish Slap back on the track for Gorge, running up the inside line with 1 blocker to beat, but there are quickly 2 more NF Bombs in front of her. Penalty to an NF Bomb blocker, and they now have 3 blockers on the track, and opportunity for Fish Slap. Joe calls the jam and leaves Gorge scoreless for that.
If you like waiting to the last minute, well, this is it. This is the last minute for you to go over to our beverage garden and get some libations. Go ahead and enjoy a nice, crisp, refreshing bev for the last half of the night.
And we're at that point in the half where there is less than 2 minutes remaining, meaning this could be the last jam. Will it be? Won't it be? We'll find out momentarily. Emsky Hammer quickly fighting at the front of the pack, pressing Gorge's blockers out of play. And a very quick star pass means that Gorge is hot on the heels of Emsky. It's going to be a fight to see who scores points, or if anyone scores points. Big crash in the middle of the pack. Emsky trying to call off the jam, but was sent to the penalty box on a forearm call. We've got a power jam for Peach Clobber, the former pivot, now jammer for Gorge Roller Derby. That's 350 on the outside corner. Pivot goes out of bounds, meaning that Peach can re-enter the track. Little confusion. Peach thought that penalty was theirs, but they are actually free to keep skating and potentially scoring. Blocker in the box for Nuclear Free means only 2 at the back, blocking Peach Clobber, who has finished the first scoring pass and made 4 points for Gorge. Emsky now making contact at the back of the pack, having served her penalty. Gorge trying to stop at the top of turn 3, but Emsky was able to slip around the defense and is also scoring. That was 2 points for NF Bombs. Emsky being held at the back by Gorge's 3 blockers. Actually, an extra blocker back there helping them out. And a drawback. Peach Clobber is heading to the back of the pack. But does find a couple more points for Gorge. So that was a pretty successful jam for Gorge. 12 points total, bringing their score to 35 at the end of this. Oh, maybe not the end. I told you, it might go one way, might go the other way. We do have an official review. Whether or not this means the half is over, we will find out shortly. So 12 points for Gorge Roller Derby, 35 overall. NF Bombs put 2 up during that jam with a total of 119 just going into halftime.
Do you have your 50-50 tickets ready? The draw will be in center rink toward the end of this halftime.
jammer or a blocker is standing in the box. That means they do have less than 10 seconds before they return to the pack. We do have Demanda for Gorge and Mac Daddy for Nuclear Free. Mac Daddy, hearing their names, saying, say it more. I'd like to be lead. Please point at me. On their approach, in turn one, slamming into the chest of that poor Gorge blocker, goes down 9-1-1, gets up, took it like a champ. Looks like we are going to be seeing a cut track penalty on the Gorge's jammer number 4-3 heading to the box. Demanda quickly leaves when it is safe. Mac Daddy decides now's the time for me to call it. Let's start fresh on a power start.
Stick around shortly after the game to find out who are the game's MVP winners. We want to say a big thank you to Roller Girl for sponsoring this weekend's MVP prizes.
We are starting with that power start for the Nuclear Free Bombs. Joe means Joe with the star on their helmet. Trying on the inside, escorted out by Black 409. Once again, trying to find their way up to the front with a little help from their friends. Twitch coming in hot. And also number 87, finding them a little bit on the inside to gain that lead jammer status. Glancing back at the box to see how much time they have, Joe means Joe then communicates with their blockers on what they want on the approach as the blockers set up that tripod in order to form the defense against Demanda as they are released from the penalty box. Demanda doing some quick jukes, moving up the inside, finding a little purchase, still finding the shoulders of some of those nuclear-free blockers. Big sled push up at the front. Down the straightaway, Demanda takes that big hit up at the front, still going. Down goes the blocker that hit them out of bounds, and so they continue. Joe means Joe calling off that jam. 4 more points going to the Nuclear Free Bombs. That's giving them 8-0 in that jam. 167-42.
Greater Victoria Sport Tourism Commission, fueled by the support of over 50 business members and municipalities, is dedicated to enhancing the region's sporting event landscape. Their mission is to seamlessly blend sport hosting with tourism marketing, drawing major sporting events to Greater Victoria that benefit the entire community.
We've got Sriracha and Rolling Raptor up against each other on this particular jam. Sriracha choosing to have a very long start to gain a lot of speed against these really tough blockers on the opposing team. A lot of recycling, a lot of rotations happening, but looks like Sriracha able to do a little spinneroonie on the inside, gaining lead jammer status. The high whistle, we've got a high block going to, looks like, Rolling Raptor for Gorge Roller Derby. That does mean a power jam for Nuclear Free Bombs and Sriracha. A lot of water falling in by their blockers as 1, 2, 3, they attack the opposing team on the defense. We've got a nice collective up at the front, slowing down Sriracha. Pickle up at the front, putting them in a pickle. Oh. Quick recycle again. We've got also now a cut track penalty going to Sriracha. We'll be going the full 2 minutes. Lead has been lost in this jam. 2 to beat up at the front for Rolling Raptor. All of the pack has recycled back up to the front, trying to push 08 to assist them in some offense. A big whip off of 911. Had an emergency. Need to get to the front, please. Moving again towards the outside, attacking the center of that tripod. And again, some offensive help from 409. Woo! Very little bit of wind on that outside. But they are caught by Dame, who escorts them out. And now Aftermath coming up and hitting Dame out, allowing their jammer to escape. Sriracha has been released from the penalty box and is now on another scoring pass. And those whistles means the end of the jam. 1 more point gathered. Looks like Gorge. So that was a 4-1 jam. What a long 2-minute jam. Every point matters, everybody.
The Accounting Agency, a trusted partner for your financial future. Visit accountingagency.ca.
Looks like we've got Nerder She Wrote out there for Gorge and Mac Daddy for the nuclear free bombs. Big Hit is escorting out Nerder She Wrote on the outside line, dragging them back to the very back of the pack. Strong tripod up at the front for Mac Daddy, looking for assistance from their blockers. But it is Nerder She Wrote who gains that lead jammer status first, with Mac Daddy hot on their skates. Ooh. Big Hit does mean a back block penalty happening for the jammer. Much love to our medic staff. Thank you so much for volunteering your time and for keeping us all safe and healthy. That rolling whistle is bringing us back to the action. Again, we do play a very high contact, high intensity sport. Always excellent to see people skate away from stuff like big hits. Joe Means Joe is on a power start here with the nuclear free bombs. Really great tripod work happening up at the front. Looks like our Gorge blocker is sending to the box for a multiplayer block. Joe Means Joe got 2 to beat up at the front. And lead jammer is declared to Joe Means Joe for nuclear free bombs. We have had Nerder She Wrote released from the box, star in hand, wanting to be able to get out and start getting those points. A lot of movement happening up on turn 3, down into the straightaway. We do have Nerder out of the pack, putting that star cap back on the helmet. And now we have a switcheroo here, power jam, going to the Gorge Roller Derby All-Stars, with Joe Means Joe going to the box. I spoke too soon. We're just going to have a jammer switcheroo in the box. Our NSOs are telling us when it's free to release Joe Means Joe. Taking their time assessing what they want to do as they approach the back wall of those Gorge blockers. Now, both jammers have been released from the box. We do have a full contingency out on the track. That's the way we like to see it. A little trip right above the apex does send our jammer from Gorge hitting the ground, but they are back up and free. Twitch doing a big hit. Again, 409 escorting out the blocker that hit their jammer in order to allow them to come back in. A quick recycle by the nuclear free bombs does put them back in the engagement zone, catching that jammer, saying, Nerder, we didn't want you to go. We love you right here.
Sending out a big EOD thank you to our tireless photographers, Adam Nice Shoots and Fatal Fantasy Photos. We all look forward to revisiting tonight's greatest hits through your work, so thank you so much.
Looks like we've got 369 Fish Slap out for Gorge Roller Derby against Sriracha and the nuclear free bombs. The entire pack moving back to the jam line on that jam start. Looks like we are having a back block penalty going to Fish Slap and Gorge, which does mean a power jam for Nuclear Free Derby. And Sriracha finding just a little room over the hip of that last blocker on the inside line, being declared lead jammer. Talking to their blockers, telling them what they want. Coming on the middle of there, finding one more blocker's hips, number 314, and then bouncing off 409, again to make 4 points high in the sky for the Nuclear Free Roller Derby. A lot of movement as they approach, being caught on the chest by two Gorge blockers in the back, sending them to the ground, taking the outside, again being stopped by those Gorge blockers, recycling up to the front, all four of them really holding strong as they have the Nuclear Free Jammer rotating and again getting those 4 points. Sriracha's out again, and we have released our Jammer Fish Slap from the penalty box. Being escorted out, the blocker that hit them has been taken to the ground, so they were able to re-enter with no penalty after being hit out. Being caught by one more blocker, but no more time. That does bring us to the end of our jam. Right now, with 12 minutes, 54 seconds, it's 193 Nuclear Free Bombs and 43 Gorge Roller Derby All-Stars.
Don't forget to visit the Eaves of Destruction's exclusive food truck vendor this weekend, Las Panas Kitchen. Venezuelan food right outside. A little reflection about how tasty that sounds.
It was really good, y'all. 10 out of 10. Pulled pork. It was delicious. All right, back to the derby action. We've got Mac Daddy for the Nuclear Free Bombs against Machete for Gorge. Huge hit happening up at the top of the pack, but not stopping Machete. They are out. All right, that rolling whistle is bringing us back to derby action. Looks like we've got 4-3 Demanda out for Gorge Roller Derby. Joe means Joe for Nuclear Free. Demanda finding some room, making some movement up at the top of the back, while Joe means Joe pushing against all 4 Gorge blockers in the back of the pack. No pack called, and we've got Betty Davis eyes going to bridge for Nuclear Free, trying to buy some time for their blockers, but unfortunately that Gorge Roller Derby jammer is ready to get out. Big shoulder on the inside. They do get knocked to the ground, stumble, and get right back up. As Joe means Joe is approaching the pack, calls from the bench, urging the jammer to call it off. Looks like we had 4 points for Gorge and 1 for Nuclear Free on that last pass.
Don't forget to visit the Roller Derby Moms table in the vendor village for souvenirs and to support our Junior Roller Derby travel.
Super cool to see Junior Roller Derby skaters and athletes being able to take opportunity to travel. All right, looks like we've got, Rolling Raptor and Mac Daddy both out practically at the same time, but Mac Daddy gaining that lead jammer status decides, I'm going to go ahead and call it off, look into the bench. Let's reset and start again. One of the fastest jams of the tournament, y'all. Looks like we've got Emsky out for Nuclear Free. And then we've also got out Nerder, she wrote, for Gorge, jamming with the star on their helmet. Oh, beautiful 180 turn out on the inside line by Emsky. Gains them lead jammer status. Looks like we still have Gorge trying to get out to sides to take the star off of their helmet, wanting to try and think of alternate ways to get the star out of the engagement zone. We've got 4 more points going to Emsky Hammer and the Nuclear Free Bombs. And a successful star pass has changed our jammer to Peach Clobber. Quickly gets it on their helmet, is coming back around to try and make some points for their team. And Emsky says, I'm not having it. Quickly taps the hips and ends the jam.
In a world filled with mass-produced stuff, connect with what you consume with Driftwood Brewery. Visit their bar and patio nearby on Viewfield Road or on site not tonight, but tomorrow.
All right, looks like we've got, for Gorge, we've got Fish Slap out there on the outside line, pushing up that tripod, escorted out by number 911, decides to reset to the back, playing safe, playing legal, quickly attacks the back of that tripod, meeting up against the back of 911, and Twitch number 838, the top of that tripod, number 315, gauging to make sure that they stay within play and that they do not break the pack, making enough time for Joe means Joe to get lead for the Nuclear Free Bombs. Looks like we are having a little bit of penalty issues on the Gorge Roller Derby side. They do have 2 of their blockers in the box. Joe means Joe decides to call off the jam. 4 more points high in the sky for Nuclear Free Bombs.
Straight and narrow. At the end of every adventure, the greatest reward is a refreshing beverage with friends both old and new.
Can make so many friends at roller derby tournaments. Share a beverage with them. All right, looks like we're going to be having Mac Daddy out for the Nuclear Free Bombs alongside Machete. Real quick movement to the back of the pack, and we've got on the inside line Mac Daddy with lead jammer for the Nuclear Free Bombs. Real quick, Machete coming up hot, also on the inside line. Gets out of the pack. Woo! Little teeny tiny apex hop right there by Mac Daddy, calling off the jam, gaining some airline miles.
Once again, we'd love to remind you to check out the Charters online silent auction happening now. Adventures, treats, gift cards, and more from over 30 local businesses. Funds raised help our charter travel for games and to host amazing tournaments just like this one. Check out the posters around the arena for the auction link.
Looks like we got Demanda up there about a foot or so behind the jam line. And back behind them, we've got Sriracha gaining that speed, coming up through the center of the pack and getting lead jam. Demanda still fighting against the very back of the pack, taking a little hit off 1-4, and also a hip off of, another Apex jump. Love to see it. Apex jumps are my favorite. Sriracha says that was good enough for me. I love it. Tap the hips, end of the jam. 4 points for us. We got only about 6 minutes left in the second half of the last game of the day today.
Parkway Physio, reduce pain, improve mobility, and of course, get back to what you love.
Looks like we've got Rolling Raptor out for Gorge Roller Derby All-Stars, and Joe means Joe for the nuclear free bombs. A little bit of on the inside there for number 811, Rolling Raptor. Did not pass legally one of the blockers. So no pass, no penalty, meaning not lead jammer, but I am still on a scoring pass. Joe means Joe gaining lead at the end of that and calling it off in the hopes to stop all of the point gain at the end.
Don't forget to stop in at Bad Girlfriend Skates, your one-stop shop for everything and anything to do with roller derby and recreational roller skating. Find them on site today or at badgirlfriendskates.ca.
On the line, we got Mac Daddy charging up the center, trying to challenge that Gorge Roller Derby blocking line. And then we've also got Murder, She Wrote heading up at the front of that pack. One more to beat, and is being told they have a cut track penalty heading to the box. That does mean a power jam for Nuclear Free. Big hit to Mac Daddy, sends them down in turn 2. Quick reset by the blockers for Gorge, being escorted out by number 350 on Gorge. It is Peach Clobber motioning to their team what it is that they would like to do with this jammer they've escorted out. Quick reset. Everybody's back in the pack. Mac Daddy going along the inside line on their toe stops. Again, escorted to the inside, taking a little breather as they reset. Some hard-fought athletes in that blocking line. Meeting one in the back, juking to the outside, hitting that tripod, moving back up, and we do have a full contingency out again. The jammer has been released from the box and is now fighting against the NF bombs in the back of the pack. Passing through one on the outside. Successful star pass does release the jammer. Now, we have a pivot turn jammer. Betty Davis eyes. Murder, She Wrote just about a curve behind. Hits into the back of the pack. No pack being called. Does let the jammer go free. Murder, She Wrote making a nice little lap around. Betty Davis eyes still engaged within the pack of the Gorge blockers. One being sent to the penalty box, making it a little bit easier for them to get through on that inside line. Gain a couple points right there at the end of the last few whistles.
The Eaves of Destruction wish to thank all of the outstanding sponsors that fund the gameplay that you enjoy. As we tell you more about them tonight, consider if you too would like to help us keep rolling through 2025. Please contact us at eodsponsorship@gmail.com.
Only about 2 minutes and 15 seconds left in this last game before today, but don't worry, everybody. There will be more roller derby tomorrow and also on Sunday. Love it. Perfect.
Let's not forget about Hazel's Ice Cream, a family dream of ice cream. Visit their bike cart here or for local handmade ice cream bars.
Just a little pause in the action, everyone, as the officials make sure everything is running smoothly. A lot of the games that we have this weekend are WFTDA sanctioned games. So every single point counts, every single point matters, every penalty matters. And all of our officials are keeping us on track to make sure everything goes smoothly, everything is recorded, make sure your captains sign your paperwork after the game. It's very important stuff, everybody. The thing I do really enjoy about roller derby is all of our athletes that still are having an excellent time. Sometimes you'll see really big point spreads and then you forget that was a really big point spread because we've been watching this game and all of the hard work that is being done by all the blockers and the jammers. You forget, you look up and you go, oh yeah, points are happening. Incredible testament to the athleticism of the roller derby athlete. Looks like we've got Sriracha finding lead jammer on the inside line, but shortly after Fish Slap is released from the pack, we do have Sriracha turning around, engaging with their opposing jammer, but Fish Slap says, I have points to make, I can't stick around here, takes the outside, is being caught by the opposing blockers, and Sriracha says, I shall call off the jam, thank you, and next.
That was 409 Aftermath, knocking out the blocker attempting to run a jammer back. I gotta say, that is what I would call an aftermath of your choices. Capital City Chaos wants to thank the Greater Victoria Sport Tourism Commission. Thank you for your sponsorship.
Looks like we've got Joe Means Joe out for Nuclear Free, and then we've got Machete out for Gorge Roller Derby. Pushing really hard. We've got a fast-moving pack with all of this movement. A lot of strength coming from both of these jammers. Little whip happening up at the very top of the pack. Joe Means Joe getting from their blocker. Number 839 Twitch. Love to see whips. Got some whistles blowing. And we have a jammer going to the box. Looks like Machete is going to be going to the penalty box. Leaving Joe Means Joe out to make points for Nuclear Free Bombs. Both sets of blockers setting up for what they would like for offense and defense. Yeah. 409 Aftermath catching Joe Means Joe, escorting them to the back of 314 and being sent to the penalty box for their efforts. We do have two up at the front for Joe Means Joe. That's Faye and Slice. Going out of play, doing the best they could with the length of track that they had, resetting. And we do have Machete released from the box, coming out incredibly quickly through that inside line, ready to make some points for their team. Joe Means Joe slamming into the back of the front of the pack there. Slice. Oh, nice high five for number 505. Love to see it. Incredible sportsmanship. That rolling whistle does give us the final score of this game. Nuclear Free Bombs, 231 to Gorge Roller Derby All-Stars, 59 points. Let's have a round of applause for these amazing athletes. Let's come and shake hands down at the track. And I hope to see you all back tomorrow. We are going to be announcing the MVPs in the center of the track. Fanny will be down there momentarily in order to say those. So stick around, everybody. High five these amazing athletes. We hope to see you tomorrow. And if you're not here, we happen to see you on Twitch or YouTube. Love to see you. This is Athena Latina. And have a great night, everybody.
Thank you so much to our amazing fans who came out to watch roller derby tonight. Please join us for the rest of the weekend for some more Capital City chaos. We'll let a little more celebration happen before we announce some MVP awards for this game. All right, teams, are we ready for your MVPs for this game? I will announce our MVP jammers first. MVP jammer for Gorge Roller Derby, we have Machete Michaud hanging out behind the chairs there. And for the NF Bombs, Sriracha. MVP blocker for Gorge, Peach Clover. And F-Bombs MVP blocker for the night, Killerella. And finally, we have our MV Spirit Award for Gorge Roller Derby. I think I might have mixed these up, but we'll figure it out. Aftermath. Well played. And finally, NF Bomb Spirit Award for the evening goes to Betty Davis Eyes.
Congratulations. These were flips. Yeah, MVP blocker spirit. Great games.